Hi, Jarret.
Hello, Luke.
Today we're just going to talk about a few ugly things we see when we get into a new Salesforce org. So we're Cloud Adoption Solutions. We're Salesforce partners, and we see a lot of Salesforce orgs. So we're just going to review a few ugly things we see when we get in there.
Just a few.
Just a few. So first topic we're going to talk about is clients not using the lead object. Now, what considerations fall out from this, Jarret?
First of all, please use the lead object. When you start with accounts and contacts, you're going to be inserting way more data. You're not going to be able to use the lead process right out of the gate.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's several other things.
Yeah, so it's harder to just put in just contacts because they need a parent, right?
Yeah,
they need an
They need
account.
a parent account.
And so, also lead. There's many tools that connect to Salesforce that use the lead object,
Mm-hmm.
and so it's easier to use those tools. Another topic or consideration I can think of is reporting. If you want to see that whole sales life cycle, you're not going to see a conversion from using a contact. You see a conversion from a lead and it turns into 3 objects.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
much better practice to use the lead object.
Yeah, using the lead status is already there. If you go in with contacts and accounts, you're gonna have to build that on your own.
Cool. Great. Let's talk about another topic. A lot of things we see some old code, right, on old API versions. And also, with this old code, a lot of times there's not even a unit test with it.
Right.
So talk about that.
Yeah, maybe maybe your org's been around for a decade, and you had code deployed in 2012, 2013. It's on API version 19 maybe.
Yeah, something under 20.
Yeah,
and you didn't need a unit test
back then. You didn't need a unit test back then. Well, you're gonna need one soon. Real soon.
Yeah, certain things that you might want to deploy to your org will need to run all your unit tests, and those ones are going to fail because there is no unit test for them.
Right.
And then working along with that topic, with unit tests, a lot of times we see badly written unit tests where they'll just do an I++ method and call that method from their unit test.
Yeah.
So
you'll see.
Tell us about that, Jarret.
Yeah, they'll make this shortcut just to get the code coverage and not cover any of the functionality in their tests. So you might see 750 lines of an increment just to get that 75% of code coverage.
That's what I was going to ask. That's the minimum code coverage for a unit test, right? 75%.
Right, 75%.
Yeah, so it's just a workaround hack. Your unit test should perform and actually test your code to make sure it's always working. You should have a good test and a bad test with each unit test for your code.
Test for null, test negatives.
Right, and then bulk.
Yeah, bulk test.
Bulk test is good in Salesforce. It can run bulk data loads and bulk updates.
Yeah, the test should take longer to write than the code itself.
Pretty much. Mm-hmm. Cool. Well, that's good for that topic. Yep. And then we got one more topic to talk about. I'm sure a lot of people see this one is every user in the org is a system admin profile. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, don't do that.
Yeah. Don't
do that.
That means everyone in the org has the keys to the castle.
Yeah.
And everyone can just make modifications to your back-end settings, your metadata settings. And there's no considerations for it. You don't know what anyone could do at any time. So
like a sales user doesn't need to have access to most of Salesforce, really.
Yeah.
I mean,
they don't need access to the setup menu.
Yeah. No.
Especially now with Lightning, everything's in the front end.
Yeah.
On the user side. So don't do that. They do not need that at all.
Hire an admin.
That's right.
Hire us.
All right. Well, those are good topics.
Yeah.
Thanks, Jarret.
Great discussion, Luke.
Yeah, that's all we have time for today. Remember, we are Cloud Adoption Solutions, Salesforce partners. You can reach out to us with any questions. Thanks. See ya.